Now, here's where we're going to start doing our UV map. So, what I want to do first is just select everything. When you bake, so this is like I learned at university, I don't know how true this is, but whenever I now take anything out of Maya to then basically make a high to low poly normal map, I will come into mesh display, set normal angle, and I'm pretty sure we always kept it at 90%, and that'll basically smooth anything that's lower than 90%. I had a 90 lower. We'll smooth anything lower than 90%. So basically, if you had like something that was 90 degrees like this, like a cube, what it should do is it will keep that still basically hardened edges. But if I were to bring this down, that's now, or should I say bring it up? There you go. That's now obviously not 90 degrees, it's lower. So if we were to do it again, will automatically smooth that for us. That's essentially what I'm doing there. I thought I'd explain that because a lot of time when I stream, people don't realize what that's doing. And that's essentially what it's doing. It basically just smooths any edges that are lower than 90. So, now our UV mapping. So, I've got it all as separate meshes. We'll start off with our handle. Very, 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 very easy. There will be a seam, but you just have to deal with that and not whine about it because that's just how UV mapping works. What UV mapping is, so what we'll do is we'll take the low poly, and what I'll do is I'll take this, I'll go into channel box / layer editor, I'll make it to a separate layer. That was the wrong one, that was the wrong one. Get rid of that layer, nope. There you go. Let's click that one. Now we'll add our objects to the layer and then I'm going to hide it for now because that's our original one that we're probably not going to be using now. So I want to find where I had that originally. So I'm going to open a folder and go to my desktop. And I'm going to drag it in cube. So basically what UV mapping is, it's the opposite of that. You're unwrapping it to a flat sheet because then when you texture it, it has a 2D plane or a 2D sort of representation to texture your asset on. Every asset needs to have this done, otherwise you cannot texture it in a program like Substance because it just won't work. Unless there's some magic that I'm unaware of. You can automatically unwrap it, and you'll get a somewhat okay result, but I tend to like doing it myself, so I'm going to just go through the workflow of my UV unmapping. Something like this, I'll probably just go like this and say we will have the bottom have a seam around here. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to select the whole thing, unitize it, and I'll make every square, if I come to this, have the exact same, taking up the whole square as your UVs. That's not that important right now, but I will make that smaller. Then you want to pick where your seams are going to be. So I usually just press hold control, double click edge loops, and then fill in one. So now an edge loop, now a seam is going to be around here, but it's going to connect here. Then I basically, because it's basically a circle, this shape is, or a cylinder should I say, and when you have a cylinder, you basically just cut one side off and then boom, you can unwrap it. So what I want to do is I just want to select one of these, maybe from here. Now that's selecting all the way around, so what I'll do is I'll select from the lowest point where I want it to cut. That's here, and we have that cut. Then I want to connect every face by clicking this button here, which is called Move and Sew, I'm pretty sure. And if it looks something like that, where all the squares look pretty even, you've probably done a good job. Now, I want to select the whole thing, so you can click one, or just drag your mouse over it, whatever you want. Hold control, hold right click, and go to shell. Then I want to unfold 3D here, click it. If you get a shape like this, that's pretty good. It works very well. I will put that in my grid for now, and if you click this button here, which I clicked earlier, you'll be able to see if the squares are roughly the same size everywhere. Now, the reason I say this, because if it hasn't unwrapped correctly, you might get issues like this, where you've got these squares that are very squished, and it means when you texture it, it's just going to have parts of your meshes having too much high texture sort of detail, because you've just given that too much room. So what you want to do, again, I'll just UV unmap because it works, and if you can't see your or UVs on your sheet, you can click this button here and they'll fill the shells in green. A green? Blue. Learn my colors. There we go. Colors are hard, guys. Now, from here, I'm just gonna, you can keep it whatever you want because I'm gonna click a button afterwards. So I'm just gonna make it completely preposterous out of like the way, because I'm going to click a button that will solve all that issue for us in a minute. Again, same method here, unitize it, find where we want edge loops. Now this is basically a glorified square. That's just what it is. So we're going to find the parts where we want to connect a square up. So if I go like, let me think. Now you can think where you want your edge loops because where you're going to see it the most. You're not going to see the bottom of the hammer very much. That's probably where I want to keep my edge loops. So if I go like that, and then we pull this around to like here. We have an edge loop go around there. And then we pull this up to here. Like that. Do the same thing over here. So now that's cutting here. So when it unfolds, it should. I need to select this part as well. Just realized. That's my own decision here. I can make it come over one or not. I think I'll make it go over one. Same thing here. I'll explain why I've done this in just a second. Or why I've cut it out this exact way. That's good. I'll select one down here, which one I want. So, I believe this is going to work, because what this is going to do is you're going to have your square at the bottom, and it's not connected on this side, so that's going to then wrap around to here. Keep wrapping around to this last bit here, and then this last bit is just going to have these edges here connected to it. Now if I click this, you'll get a shape like that, which looks pretty good. It's a bit of an awkward shape if I do say so myself, but it will work. Click the whole thing again, and if it comes up something like that, we'll say clean up the mesh before using. So what we want to do is click it, edit mesh, or mesh, sorry, yeah, just mesh, clean up at the bottom. Now usually what the cleanup is referring to is non-manifold geometry. I don't think it actually said that, but we'll keep that ticked anyway. I will just clean it up. Now let's try unfolding it again, see what happens. Oh no, unconnected vertices. I didn't read that part. To connect any unconnected vertices, just select your asset. Well, usually what this means is it's got vertices that are, I don't know where they are, but it will have a vertex that's got like another vertex next to it. So when I pull that away, it's got like a random hole. So they're basically on top of each other. But to fix that, you can just go mesh or edit mesh. Yep, edit mesh, merge, and then keep it at the low value. And what that will do is just connect any overlapping vertices. Now if I do it, it seems fine. So here's got a bit of a pinch. But that's because the shape of it does get a bit thinner, as you can see here. So maybe the best idea, because it gets thinner here, was to do it from the top. So if that's the case, we could just go around and fix that. So you can click the edge you want to cut off. And that should cut it off from clicking that. Yep. Boom. And then we just connect it to one of these bits. That way, it should warp a bit less. Yeah, I mean, wasn't the biggest improvement, but it did warp a little bit less. Now if I select it, and we'll make it small enough so you can see these edge loops, you'll see that they wrap around pretty nice. And they don't really warp at all. Now last bit, the circle at the top. This, probably the easiest bit. I'm going to use the same methodology that I always use, like I'll be showing you. But we just unitize, but I'm just going to connect every edge. Now you can select it and go planar unwrap and just do it from the Z-axis, and that'll basically just do a unwrap from the top like this, and then you can unfold it, but it takes the same speed in my opinion, so pull that down. Now you will get a little bit of warping on this. If I show you in here, you will get a bit of warping. Now, there's not too many ways to fix this with a shape like this. You can cap the top like that, and then maybe just connect one side, cut that. And what that will do is give you a weird shape like this. Oh, and then basically click one of these edges, cut that. I select the whole thing. There you go. You'll get like that. But then you just get this awful seam here. So usually I'd just go with the slight warping, and it usually looks fine in the end result. If it really pulls down, you might just want to do the other way I just showed, because it works. So all of these are at the wrong scale now. So I did that on purpose because I'm going to show you. So obviously everything's supposed to be sort of this scale of square, but it's not. This is very small, and this is very small. I did that on purpose because if I select something now, so this, I don't know about other softwares, but in Maya, you can go to this tool here, So I've right clicked it. It's running very slow, which is brilliant. There you go. So you get your menu come up, and you can just turn this to horizontal or vertical. You can experiment to see which way you want them to turn, and then preserve 3D ratio. And then up here, I'll do it as a 2K map. Sure, I might make it smaller later on because it is a small asset, but we'll just do it as 2K map for now. And then layout. May take a few seconds, but what that will do is it will move it onto this grid, and it will try its best to keep them up the correct ways. Now, I don't really like how it's made this sort of too much turn, so I'm going to make that a bit straighter. Pop it in. Get everything down a tad to make it so it fits. The reason I'm scaling everything down is because I want it to all have the same texture density. Now, usually you want to not use you want to try to save as much space as possible. So I've got this empty space here, which is a shame, but there isn't too much I can do about it just because of the way that the shapes turn out. And that's the unwrapping stage of the asset. So after that's done, you can take this. I'm going to merge all of it together to make it one asset. Nice, going very fast today. What I like to see. Did that work? Yep. Do an OG file. Export. Once again, I could just wipe over that, but honestly, I want to make it an FBX now because I just prefer FBXs. Is there a good reason why? It usually imports sideways if you don't, but I'm not going to be importing it as an FBX into Substance anyway, because I usually like keeping them as OBJs because you still have the high polys as OBJ. But I'm still going to export the FBX down. Keep it like that. We can close this. It's already exported it. I will save it because I'm silly. I don't save often. I will tell you guys now, save as often as possible. Because I have lost lots and lots and lots and lots of work because I do not save very often. It's a very bad habit that I have. Please save as often as possible, guys. It will save your life. Or just save a lot of time. Oh, look at that background. Alright, so now we want to get our substance.